Hi, as you can see, I'm still cat sitting. I'm not sure where he is, he's somewhere around. The one thing it does mean when I'm here, it means I can get lots of reading done. And I've finished another book on Kindle. I use Kindle a lot when I'm here because it's rather than packing books, you know what it's like. And this one's The Mires by Tina Makereti. And it took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting the use of, I suppose, a smattering of magical realism. I wasn't expecting that in it at all. And I never expected to hear the voice of the swamp or the swamp mother. And that I found breathtaking because we're set on a swamp in Kapiti, which is off the west coast of New Zealand's North Island. And you get the voice of the swamp and you get the idea of the water, the swamp connecting everything. Everything is connected via the swamp and the voice comes through. And I thought that was wonderful, breathtaking almost. Anyway, we're in this little neighbourhood and where the residents sort of rub along together. And we've got three main characters, really. We've got Kerry, who's a Maori woman, single parent, to 4-year-old Walty and a teenage daughter, Wairere. And this girl the daughter seems to have sort of the gift of sight. She can hear the ancestors. She can hear the swamp mother. You know, it's that sort of supernatural almost element to this girl. She's got this magical gift. Kerry's suffered from domestic violence in her life, and she's now just with the two kids. And she's finding it a real struggle, surviving on benefits, living sort of hand to mouth. You know, she towards the end of the week, there's no food. They live on pancakes until the next check comes in. So she's finding it difficult at times to provide for a family. We've got Sarah and her husband Adam and their little daughter Aliana. Now, it doesn't say when this is set, but you get the idea that it's a little way into the future because Sarah and her family are refugees from an area in Europe that suffered a major climate disaster. So they're refugees from this area that something happened. And it's all to do with climate, but it doesn't really go into details as to why because you're focusing on the characters. And then you've got Janet. She's our final character, and she's a white New Zealander who initially is quite resentful of her neighbours. She makes a comment when she first sees Sarah, you know, they're homeland New Zealanders, you should be thankful you've got a home. You know, in other words, implying you shouldn't, you've taken somebody else's home. You're a refugee, you don't belong here, you shouldn't have this house. So that is her initial reaction. But through the book, she changes. You know, her initial sort of antagonism fades down as she gets to know these people. And her son, Connor, has now returned to live with her. And you find out that Connor's got a secret agenda. So you've got these three women existing together. You've got Kerry, who's finding life difficult, Sarah, who's trying to integrate into the neighbourhood, and Janet, who is initially obstructive, but she changes. And it's a book that's very gentle in the beginning. It's dealing with growing friendships, normal everyday activities, you know, shopping, cooking, going for a walk on the beach. But all around them, there's racism and terrorism. and the climax, it leads to you don't almost, you sort of expect the climax, but there's a sort of almost mysticality. That's not a word. There's a mystical element to it. I found anyway. I thought that the ending was quite mystical in its way. And it's a book that surprised me, because when I requested it on from Kindle as an ARC, it came out end of September. I've only just got around to reading it. When I requested it, I wasn't expecting anything like that. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I certainly wasn't expecting a book with this sort of mystical element, the voice of the swamp, and stuff like that in it. Anyway, that was The Mires by Tina Makereti. So happy reading. Take care.